Ashmore was the kind of town people drove through without noticing. A single gas station, a diner that closed too early, and houses spaced out like they were afraid of one another. Detective Evan Rourke moved there 2 years earlier, hoping for quiet. After a decade of big city crimes, Ashmore felt like a place where nothing could go wrong. Until the morning of October 17th, Evan walked into the station just before sunrise. His partner, Lena Hart, was already flipping through a thin stack of case files. "Morning," she said. "We've got something odd." Ashmore didn't get odd. Evan raised a brow. "What?" Lena slid a missing persons report across the table. Name, Claire Danner. Age, 24. Last seen yesterday, 5:42 p.m. Notes, left work early. Never made it home. Evan exhaled. She'd turn up. Lena didn't answer. Instead, she placed a second report beside the first. Name, Marcus Hale. Age, 19. Last seen yesterday, 5:47 p.m. Same route. Same direction. 5 minutes apart. A chill drifted through the room. 2 disappearances. Same road, same evening. No calls, no signs of struggle, no sightings. Something was wrong. Overgrown ditches. No street lights. A blind curve people cursed. Both missing individuals were last tracked there. Evan and Lena drove the path slowly. But Lena spotted at first a faint skid mark almost erased by last night's wind. Fresh, beside it, half buried in gravel, was a small metal tag, the kind used for pet collars. But this one was blank. Evan pocketed it. Nothing made sense yet. Not the tag. Not the skid. Not the disappearances. But Ashmore was beginning to feel awake. That evening, Ashmore erupted. A man named Peter Lang, a local carpenter, vanished on his way home. 3 disappearances in less than 30 hours. The townspeople gathered outside the station, demanding answers. Rumors swarmed like insects. A serial kidnapper, a cult in the woods, something supernatural on Bender's line. Evan shut the door against the rising panic. Inside, Lena spread the 3 files across the table. "Different ages, different backgrounds, different routines," she said. But they were all taken on the same road. Evan stared at the metal tag he found. Blank, new, lightly scratched on the edges. He turned it over again and again. It meant something. He just didn't know what. Around 11 p.m., an elderly woman entered the station. Her name was Eleanor Briggs, a quiet resident who lived near Bender's line. "I saw something," she whispered. "Yesterday evening." Her hands trembled as she spoke. "I was closing my windows when I heard a honk. Then tires. Then silence. When I looked outside, all I saw was a black van turning into the woods." "A van?" Evan leaned forward. "Black," she repeated. "No plates. Did you see who was driving?" She shook her head. Only the sticker on the back window. A silver shape. Looked like a dog. Evan and Lena exchanged a glance. A blank metal tag. A silver dog symbol. A black van with no plates. This was no amateur. Using Eleanor's testimony, the detectives reviewed old footage from traffic cameras across the county line. It took hours, but they found it. A black van with a silver dog emblem on the back window. No plates. Tinted windows. It passed a checkpoint heading into Ashmore 3 days before the first disappearance. Lena pulled up missing vehicle reports, stolen cars, Animal control records anything involving a dog logo. Nothing. Evan rubbed his eyes. Who uses a dog as their symbol? Lena exhaled slowly. Someone who wants to be remembered but not identified. The next morning, Evan walked Bender's line again. Something about the blind curve bothered him. The ground looked disturbed, not from cars, but from footsteps leading into the woods. He followed the path, pushing through thick branches until he reached a clearing. There, buried under leaves and mud, was a second metal tag. Blank, just like the first. But this one was attached to a torn piece of black tape. He knew then they were markers. Whoever was abducting people was tagging locations, marking where they took each victim. Evan's pulse hammered. The abductor was organized, methodical, and close. At 4:22 p.m., the station phone rang. Lena answered, then froze. A distorted voice spoke through static. "Stop searching." Lena switched to speaker. "You have something of mine," the voice said. Evan's heart dropped. The tag. He was talking about the tag. "What do you want?" Evan asked. "Return it." "And the missing people?" A cold silence. "You'll see them when the tide turns." The line went dead. That night, Evan couldn't sleep. The phrase echoed. When the tide turns? Ashmore had one place with that name, Tide's End Reservoir, an abandoned water treatment facility at the edge of the forest. No one went there. Not anymore. Evan and Lena geared up and drove there at dawn. The building was falling apart, rusted tanks, broken windows, and a long corridor leading underground. Inside, the smell of wet concrete filled the air. Lena pointed at a wall. "Evan, look." Dozens of silver dog stickers were plastered across it like trophies. The same symbol as the van. Suddenly they heard shuffling behind a metal door. Evan drew his flashlight, pushed the door open, and found Claire Danner sitting on the floor, shivering, hands bound. Alive, terrified, and staring at something behind them. A figure stepped out from the shadows, a man in dark clothing, face covered, posture calm and calculated. "Detective Rourke," he said, as if greeting a friend. "I knew you'd find me." Evan kept his voice steady. "Release the others." The man smiled beneath his mask. They were selected, observed, studied. He tilted his head. "You found my markers. Impressive." Lena took a step forward. "Why them?" "Why anyone?" The man slowly pulled something from his pocket, a blank metal tag, identical to the others. "This is not random," he said. "These people were chosen because no one ever notices them. Until they're gone." His words crawled under Evan's skin. "A philosophy, a method, a ritual." Before Evan could move, the man sprinted deeper into the facility. They chased him down a corridor, but he slipped through a service hatch and disappeared into the woods beyond. Gone. Inside a locked room, Evan and Lena found Marcus Holley and Peter Lang, shaken but alive. No injuries, just fear. Deep, consuming fear. They had all been held in separate rooms, fed just enough to stay weak. Claire managed to whisper, "He watched us." Sometimes he talked about the world forgetting people. Said he was collecting the overlooked. Evan clenched his fists. This wasn't over. Not even close. News of the rescue spread fast. Ashmore breathed again. But fear didn't leave it settled deeper, because the man was still out there, A week later, as Evan sorted evidence, a small envelope slid under the station door. Inside was a single item, a new blank tag. On the back, scratched faintly with a blade, were the words, "The tide hasn't turned yet." Evan felt the room grow cold. The Ashmore Vanisher wasn't done. He was just getting started,